Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Be the Media Huntington. My name is Jenny Lee, and I have with me Miss Dana.
Hi, guys.
And Miss Lisa.
Hi, everyone.
And tonight we are bringing you the Indian Hills Project. We took a fun little field trip this Sunday, and we met some new friends over near in Indian Hills by the cliff over there and the country club, the golf club. And we wanted to find a way to bring this project to the public so that everyone would know what was going on there. Because you're hearing people randomly talk on record at town hall, but you're not really hearing people talk about it that much online. And it's a pretty decent sized project. And so we wanted to bring it to everyone this evening. So tell them where we went, girls.
We went to Jurassic Park. That's exactly what it was. For those of you who are like me and you are not wildlife friendly, they had chipmunks, they had squirrels, they had, was that a hawk we saw? Was it the hawk we saw?
Hawks, but a duck flew in our face.
A duck flew in our face.
He was just trying to cross over the street.
It was so many different insects, animals, but it's really pretty. You get to look right off of the Long Island Sound, and it was just really serene. It was almost like another part of the world. We were just simply in another town. I enjoyed the view, and I enjoyed, the places, the golf course we went to see, the Long Island Sound, the new homes that were being built. It was very nice.
In fact, it was so rural. You would have missed where we were supposed to go trying to get there. In fact, we did, and we were a little late due to that. So we decided to bring everyone else there to the scene the exact same way that we got there. So we're going to begin in the driveway.
Okay, so we're driving into where we were trying to find you on Breeze Hill before, and you can tell the age of this path from these two stone walls. Right, Christine?
Yes, so this has been here, I think, since the 30s, maybe even before. And this road is a private road where there's only a handful of houses down here. This road is not very wide. You can see that there's wildlife just running free.
There are chipmunks everywhere.
So they look like little rats.
Designated wetlands on both sides of this road. So the land this driveway really could not expand much.
That's what I was going to ask you. Are they expecting construction vehicles, other vehicles to travel this particular road to get into the townhomes to start building them?
There is a pending lawsuit about this road, so I'm not sure how much can be discussed right now. But with the 46 houses being built basically at the end of this road, you would assume that there would be traffic potentially up and down this road. This road also, you can see, is basically like a driveway. So, it has normal wear and tear as driveways do.
Can you tell me what these barrels are?
Sure. So this is sand that people use in the winter when there's ice or other slippery conditions. So it's not a road that really maintenance workers come down. So you can see that, again, this is basically like a driveway. Very rural, yes.
And this is how it's supposed to be.
This is how
Long Island, this is what you think of. You don't think of all that. This is what you come here to see. The greenery, different little the gardens they have, all this little stuff. This is what we want to see.
Yeah, and keep in mind the people that bought the houses in this area bought it because of the seclusion. So
she's such a natural.
She is.
Yeah.
That ride, that video doesn't really do that road justice, though.
No, it
I think
doesn't.
people really need to go, because we had a difficult time and we went in a small SUV and it was not pleasant. It's very narrow. So it would only be one car at a time that could go by.
Right. And yeah, that's a driveway.
Yeah.
It's
So,
not a road.
so I don't know how they're going to do all
Incredible.
of that. And there's a lot of places you can dip off, because she did say they're surrounded by wetlands, right? Isn't that,
Right.
Yes.
I mean, that's an accident waiting to happen when you have construction vehicles. There's a lot of places you can just dip off of, because the road is very small.
They handle their own sand, like to get up and down the road during, this is a very sensitive area. That's why we didn't want to just talk about this. We wanted to show it to everyone. There's very few houses on that block. In fact, we met our very first new friends, and this project is completely directly in their backyard. So we're going to let them tell their story in their own words.
Hi, welcome. This is Lisa from Be the Media. I'm here with my new friend George discussing the Indian Hills project. We're here at Indian Hills in George's backyard. Hi, George. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Okay. We are literally in your backyard.
That is correct.
And-
down that way, yes.
And what I've been told is they want to build condos here. Can you give me your thoughts and tell me exactly how many condos they want to build in your backyard?
Well, they want to build, 46, right? A total of 98 condos, about half of them, it's either 46, 48, or 50. I'm not sure. The plan keeps changing. Going off my backyard, which ends at the bottom of the hill. Right now, it's the driving range for the Indian Hills Country Club. I think what they plan to do is move the driving range and put the 48 units ringing around the back here and also around the front. The structures will be approximately 8,000 square feet and 35 feet tall, from what I hear. It's at the bottom of a very sensitively environmental area. It's the home right at the bottom of the hill, which you can't see because in the summer it happens to be very well shrubbed and very beautiful. In the winter, it's a different story. Is actually on a mapped wetland. So these homes are going to be going right off of a mapped wetland. The water table is extremely low, and we have a lot of concerns where the water is going to go. Right now, the water drains into the Crab Meadow watershed, which on rainy days gets pretty much out of control. What's going to happen when these structures, if they are built, where the water is going to drain off and where all the roads are going to be built, where there'll be no place for the water to go in. And also it's a lot of clay. There's a lot of clay, there's very little sand. We feel it's going to be pretty much horrific.
Now, when you mentioned wetlands, what I would like to know, and what I'm sure everyone would like to know, is where is it legal to build next to a wetland? How many feet?
I think the law says you can build 100 feet from a wetland. I don't know what the wisdom is of that law, but in this case, the drainage from close to 50 homes at the bottom of a hill going into a wetland is not going to be a good situation.
Now, how close to your yard will these actually become?
I think they can be 50 feet. I think what they're going to do, I think the law says they have to have a 50 feet setback. Again, I don't know if they can get a variance and change that. So pretty much the homes will be right off my backyard.
And are you afraid this is going to affect your traffic in your neighborhood and your water quality?
Well, we think it's going to affect the water quality. We think it's going to go into the Crab Meadow watershed, which is environmentally sensitive. In fact, they just finished a Crab Meadow watershed study, which went on for 3 or 4 years. And the conclusion of the study is that this area is basically built out to capacity and that nothing else should be built. However, the developer is vigorously pursuing this project. He's now getting ready to put in his third change. He keeps trying to see what he can get, and anytime we push back, he just changes it. So far, every time he's changed it, he's added homes, not taken them away. So we don't know what to expect next. As to your other question of the traffic, The developer says that there'll be no change in traffic, even though a total of 100 homes will be added. I hope he's not a mathematician, because if he did, he'd be out of a job. But the 50 homes that are going to be back here, he's actually planning on accessing our private road, which we have a private driveway here. If you ever saw it, it's can be a maximum of 22 feet wide. It's about 10 feet wide now. He's planning on buying the property across the street so he can get the rights to that driveway. And instead of coming off a main road for these 50 or so homes, he's going to come up our private road. So he's going to basically invade us from the back, ring houses on the back and in front of us, and also invade us from the front. So obviously we're not too happy. In addition to the environmental problems, we're also concerned about the value of our homes and our style of life.
Yeah, I'm very
Hi,
sorry.
this is my wife Joan. She lives here with me.
Hi, Joan.
Most of the time.
Hi, good morning. How do you feel about this?
Well, it's very disturbing. I mean, we just bought this home 3.5 years ago as our, pre-retirement home. Most of my family thought we were crazy to buy here because it's up this private road in the middle of nowhere. Whereas we have one home now that lives past our our driveway. We'll have, close to 50 homes, residents. Well, I don't know how many residents, but 50 homes.
And you bought this property for the seclusion.
Right.
You didn't expect this. You didn't see
We're
this
not
coming.
a witness protection program or anything, but we did do like privacy. It's disturbing. I mean, when we bought the house, we knew there was a possibility of 1 acre homes being built back here. That's always because that's what it's zoned for.
Mm-hmm.
But to bear the brunt of this plan, they're approved for 98 homes, and 46 of them plan to be built on this side, which of the 144 acres that Indian Hills Golf Course makeup is 144 acres. This side is 17 acres, and we'll be having about 46. But again, that's the starting point. Once the SECRA is performed, I'm sure,
Environmental study,
yeah, with the slopes and the drainage, as my husband mentioned. There is a home at the bottom of our driveway here that house probably should have never been built because it's on wetland.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they basically have a moat that goes around the house underground, literally. And so they're very concerned about the sewage because they're talking about putting some sort of pumps in where the sewage is pumped up here. Of course, an electrical outage. I don't know where it goes from there. So for us, some people may say we're NIMBYs, not in my backyard, but in this case, it literally is in my backyard. And I would, as an alternate, I would love to see homes, beautiful homes built. That would enhance the value of my home. But a condo community, as I said before, this is in Boca del Vista. We don't, it's not really conducive. The golf course is already a developed property. It's being used. There are nitrates. We have an environmental person that we are associated with. And so now putting townhomes or a development on top of what is already a developed and working piece of property is what Suffolk County Planning Commission calls double dipping. So several years back, the town of Huntington created a special code called the zoning called ROSC, which allows for a golf course to develop townhomes on the property. So the only way that this plan should be even considered is under that special zoning, ROSC. So where it's R40 now, the builder, Mr. Sunas, is saying that he has the ability to build as of right, which means he can build 1 acre homes, or if he wants to cluster, he can cluster homes, townhomes, But the golf course has to go away. You can't have both. The only way you can have both is through the ROSC zoning change, and he has pulled that plan. So we're very confused why the town is even considering this plan. As a part of disclosure, we have a lawsuit pending, me and the two other people that live on this road, this driveway, because there are certain things within our deeds and so forth, I can't disclose, but that this road cannot be used to access additional homes. So that's where we
Well,
are.
thank you very much, Joan. Thank you, George, for letting
Thank you
us
for listening to us.
for letting us hear and sharing this information. Thank you.
Yeah, they were.
A lot to take in.
hmm,
It was a lot. Sad.
yeah, 3 people live on that street. Well, 3 homes.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And I'm sure when they bought it, they did think about some developer coming and ruining all of it and taking it all away from them.
Oh yeah, no way.
But the
If
one
you're,
thing that
if you're lucky enough to move somewhere like that, you know, that's a real treat. So,
The one thing I don't understand is they want to put these townhomes there where, because we went through the area, where the supermarkets, where the shops, they want to build this up like a city, but you don't have any amenities of the city. So that's a problem. Because when we drove around, we were literally driving around endlessly to nowhere. It's just house upon house upon house. I didn't see like there's that little strip that which we ate lunch at that they have, but I didn't see, unless I missed it, I didn't see a major supermarket. I didn't see a major bank. I didn't see a major anything.
Nope.
So you're going to have all these people come, and what are they going to do? Where are they going to get their items from? Where are they going to shop at? So that means you're going to have to build something else to accommodate that.
And that's going to create, more issues with traffic, people getting around to need to get all these things as well. But we also had the pleasure of being able to speak with Janice. Wanted to put her up next.
Hi, this is Dana
whoop.
here with Janet.
Oh, goodness. I'm so sorry. So we got to speak with Janice, and she was kind. I know she had a lot of things to do, but she was able to get down and do a quick interview with us.
Hi, this is Dana here with Janice, and she's going to explain to us a little bit further about some of the nature plans and the civic groups that we have. And we were just standing out here. There's a ton of wildlife. So if they build, where's the wildlife going to go? Because I just saw literally like a whole bunch of chipmunks running around.
Yes, we're definitely, I moved here 4 years ago, and we certainly do live, I always say, like, welcome to the jungle. There's a variety of, deer, chipmunks, woodpeckers, you name it. And obviously any sort of construction on virgin land is going to result in, I guess, what is that called? Relocation of wildlife. So that's certainly a concern in terms of disturbing the natural habitat. As the plan currently stands, there is going to be 15.6 acres of virgin forest that'll be deforested. So that's a significant number, and I think certainly will have an impact to, the wildlife in the area.
Wow, that's a lot of land. So what are they going to do? Because it looks like the property dips off a little bit. What do they plan to do with all the stuff in the back and the neighbors and everything like that?
I really don't know. We've sort of just seen a rudimentary map in terms of where they're planning to put the townhomes, but I'm not really sure what the plan for accommodating for slopes and all of that would be. They're currently starting the SECRA process. The town granted them a positive declaration, SECRA, which is the more stringent of the two environmental reviews. So I'm sure that kind of stuff will be addressed as they go through that process.
Okay, and what are some of the civics that you have out here that are involved with, helping you out with this process?
So Fort Salonga is a small community which overlaps into both the town of Smithtown and the town of Huntington. And for the past 70 years or so, there's been the Fort Salonga Association, which has done wonderful things for the community, organizes lots of family events, and also has been a steward of specifically the 1 acre zoning actually in this area. I mean, they will fight a flag lot or a 7-Eleven coming in on 25A within,
lightning speed. So it was very interesting when this first transpired about 2.5 years ago. The Fort Salonga Association hosted an informational meeting with the developer. This meeting was attended by over 200 residents who were all opposed to the project. And as a result of that meeting, there was some back and forth with just residents voicing their concerns to the Fort Salonga Association. And it culminated in November of that same year with a weekend email vote by the board of the Fort Salonga Association to support the plan. So it was done Thanksgiving weekend, done via email. The board members at the time were 13, had 24 hours to reply. A few of them asked for this to be revisited because there was still just a lot to be learned. Not necessarily to say, oh, we want to vote against it, but let's investigate this a little bit more. Those requests were denied. The vote went ahead. And that letter you can actually see on the Northwind Group's website, which is the initial letter of support to Frank Petrone from the Fort Salonga Association. When you fast forward to this new plan, which is not a zone change plan anymore, it is a cluster subdivision within the R40 zoning. That came out in December of 2017. And in February, before the plan was actually even available for us to review via a FOIL process, the FSA sent yet another letter of support to Supervisor Lupinacci. In the meantime, our organization sprouted up as a singular cause organization to specifically address and honestly fully investigate and inform the community about what's going on here, because we felt like the FSA wasn't doing its due diligence.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks so much for all the information, Janice. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yes. Did I lose you?
No, we're here. I don't like looking at watching myself on TV. It's weird.
It's especially since we knew that a chipmunk had run across your foot.
I was looking for it too. I was looking. Daggone chipmunks everywhere.
And I want to apologize before I show the next one. I kept calling Kirsten Christine. Uh-oh.
There you are.
Are you good? Uh-oh.
You kept calling Kristen.
You should have saw me in Lisa's face when that happened. We both
What?
were like, oh my God. I was like, here, looking at each other like, what do we do now?
What happened?
Yeah.
But I lost power. You kept calling Christine.
Yeah. No. Yes. So I want to. Her name's Kristen.
Oh.
And she was such a natural. She was just really, really awesome to us. But I called her by the wrong name. I want to be publicly accountable for that because she was so sweet and I felt so bad. But she had the right and duty to correct me. But she's up next. She's so sweet.
She is.
Good sport.
Hi, everyone. It's Jenny Lee with Be the Media, and I'm here with Miss Christine. How are you today? Good, thanks. Kristen Kuhn. Hi. We're out here checking out the Indian Hills development, and Christine wanted to tell us a little bit more about the civic groups because in the newspapers, for all intents and purposes, it would look like the civic groups fully support the project, and we want to talk to you about the actual grassroots people behind all that.
Sure. So how I see this is it looks like there's Fort Salonga Association against Fort Salonga Property Owners Association. The Fort Salonga Association, which has been around for 70 years, is more of a all-encompassing group of Fort Salonga, which is both the town of Smithtown and the town of Huntington. They have a solid base of members since they've been around for so long. And then there's the Fort Salonga Association, Fort Salonga Property Owners Association, which is us, which are more the directly impacted residents around Indian Hills Country Club, which is on the northern side of 25A on the town of Huntington side. Actually, the town of Smithtown has the majority, we believe, of the residents of Fort Salonga Association, and south of 25A. They have seen a decline in membership, I think, for the first time in decades for the Fort Salonga Association because the residents around here have pulled out from that organization. We feel like we have tried to work with them. We've tried to show the Fort Salonga Association that this plan is not good for our environment, that there should be many concerns for both Town of Huntington and Town of Smithtown residents. And they have not been very responsive to us. We still hope to work with them. You know, we do want to show that Fort Salonga is a united community, but we are a singular issue cause, and we do have to fight for what we think is right with this development. The Fort Salonga Property Owners Association is approximately 300 members. We have given letters of support against the project. We have shown that we are not in favor of this project, and we are trying to continue to show our concerns with each phase of the project that they bring out. The current project that they have right now, we have heard that there will be a new variation to it, so we are on the lookout to see if the new plan will be submitted to the Town of Huntington soon, so we can review it and see how we feel about that project.
So right now it's mystery plan, but prior to this, it was a zone change. It's not now. But prior to that, how many people were you able to, so how many homes are surrounding the property were you able to get to force the supermajority? Because I know that you were able to do that when it was a zone change. So that would have forced the board to have 4 votes instead of 3 votes. So how many people would you say are directly impacted? The real, true life, not in my backyard, it is in their backyard people.
We think there's about 120 homes that are directly surrounding the area. So 98 townhomes would be effectively doubling the size of the neighborhood. We were able to get the majority, and there needs to be 80% for majority. We were able to get that 2 years ago. So there has been a lot of community support with our group, with the Fort Salonga Property Owners Association, and we continue to just try to inform our residents of the newest plans from the Northwind Group and about Indian Hills Country Club.
Fantastic. And as soon as we get a copy of the new plan, we'll bring that to you as well. All right. Thank you so much, Christine. Thank you.
Yeah. She wasn't done. She had an afterthought. So I'm going to
so we were just
get that hooked up for you so that she can finish.
Listening to some of the birds, and Christine had an afterthought about deforesting, and we wanted to make sure that we covered this as well.
One concern that we have with the current application that's submitted to the Town of Huntington is of this property, which is about 144, 145 acres, Indian Hills Country Club. They're going to physically disturb over 52 acres. They're going to deforest over 16 acres, which is 30% of the forested area right now. So you can see all the trees. These are natural light barriers. They're natural sound barriers. They house wildlife. So removing 30% is a big deal.
And oxygen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. My kids are learning that right now in school, photosynthesis and all that other great stuff. So thank you so much for adding that. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow, 30%. That's astronomical.
A lot.
That's
30%.
disgusting.
52 acres. And not only the point she brought up about it's going to double the neighborhood from 102 to 98.
That's a lot.
It is. It's a mini city.
102, 98. So you just went from 102 to, yeah.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's, you know, I don't think, you know,
Thank you.
people need to really go.
We
The
were
only
just-
thing I can say is go to that actual area to see, because I cannot see how that would be productive.
The wildlife, the water. That's just terrible. This is really serious. It really needs to be stopped. People really need to get out
And go
voice their
see.
opinions.
Go
And
see
you
what's
go
really
see,
going
you need
on.
to go see this, because I've lived here in this town forever, my whole life. And when I was brought to that area, I mean, I have heard of Indian Hills Country Club many, many times. I knew where it was. I knew what street it was off of, but that was a complete other world that I saw. And I was so happy that I got to see it.
It really was.
It was incredible. It really did. It felt like I was in the forest.
This
It didn't even feel like I was in Huntington,
No.
the township of Huntington.
Let's do a drive-by by the country club first, and then we'll meet Andy, the environmentalist.
Okay.
So let's take a quick little drive there first and see what Lisa was just talking about.
This is Indian Hills Country Club on Breeze Hill Road in Fort Salonga. You can see the clubhouse up there, the driving range, the putting green, and then to our left, you can see more of the golf course over here, the lakes, the trees. So it is a large piece of property. It's again about 144 or 145 acres, and it's throughout our neighborhood.
Is all I can say.
I'm trying to think. Did we? You know what? I want to do another driving one first.
Hi.
Oh no, that was.
Got so many of them, so many videos that day.
Well, I want to finish driving there first, and then we'll bring George, Andy, and George. George was in the earlier. This was Andy.
We were just on Mystic. We just turned left onto Makima Road, and you can see over here, this is our swamp area. And if you look through the swamp, you can see the 4 smokestacks over there, part of the Life lawsuit that you're probably familiar with.
The Iroquois pipeline.
Yeah.
That's that energy hub that they were talking about the last town board meeting.
Yes. So we have a clear view of it over the swamp. This whole Crab Meadow watershed area, which is about 3,500 acres, the golf course of it is about 144, 145 of that. It's all census land. So there's a lot of wetlands. There's a lot of coastline. So
When you say wetlands, what do you mean by wetlands?
there are both freshwater and tidal wetlands. Wetlands are, it's good for generating organisms, and it's part of the landscape that can help just maintain a good environment. Andy is explaining this.
Because I know some. Oh, I see those things now.
Those are the
Yeah, I see them. I see them.
Yep, that's the Northport Life Plant smokestacks.
Wow.
The red and white stacks.
That's that energy hub that they're saying is worth. LIPA was estimated at 193 million, and there's discussion that because the fiber optic cables as well as the gas line that comes in from Iroquois, Canada, that supplies the gas and the fiber optics for all of Long Island. There you go. That's a good shot.
Oh, wow. You can really see it.
Yep, my house, the gray one right there.
It's not going to.
So.
No, it is. No.
All right, so that's when we got there and we met Andy, who was fantastic. I think you hear her even say it in the video, Kristen. So he has some really great information. So this is going to be a couple of videos back to back, but it's so important to get all of this as part of this show.
Hi, everyone. This is Lisa with Be the Media Huntington. I'm here with Andy, beach line over here. You can see Connecticut. Beautiful day. Andy, can you explain a little bit why we're here today?
Sure. Well, we're concerned about the development proposal from the Indian golf course, and particularly the environmental issues. I've been in the environmental field for 30 years, and I've looked at the plans, and I know the area, and I know the conditions here, and it's there are many, many great environmental concerns that we have. The way the golf course is situated is it's really a peninsula. It's surrounded on three sides by water. You have the Long Island Sound to the north. You have the Crab Meadow watershed, which is located to the west, and you have Fresh Pond, which is located to the east. And this golf course sits between those three water bodies. A golf course is not an undeveloped, pristine property. If you think about it, they have a lot of green grass, and the way that grass gets green is you put a lot of fertilizers, which have nitrates and phosphorus, and you use a lot of pesticides. And there have been studies that have shown, actually at this golf course, that show the nitrate levels are high. It shows that pesticides are in the groundwater, and it's in the ponds on the golf course. It's been shown there. And this proposal to build another 98 or 98 condos on it is just going to add more sewage, which has nitrates, which is a concern. You know, that's been in the media lately for the Long Island Sound and the algal blooms that you get. And the thing about it is, it's going to be 98 homes, but the golf course is going to remain. So the impacts that have already been documented to the golf course, the nitrates from the fertilizer, the phosphorus, and the pesticides are going to continue. And you're going to get the sewage from 98 more homes. It's another 37,000 gallons per day of sewage just from this proposal. And they're increasing their clubhouse, the space of the clubhouse. So there's parties and there's all sewage from that. So really, in this, you know, really pristine area that we have up here, very environmentally sensitive, that's one of the big concerns.
Now, let me ask you a question. The town knows about this?
Well, the town knows about this. This is all part of the SECRA, which they haven't done yet, but it was a positive declaration, which is good. So these are all the issues that the town needs to go through, and hopefully, cooler heads will prevail and they'll realize the detrimental impacts that are potential for this environmental area, and then. Also, the bluff that the latest proposal is trying to build on, they've done things. They built a revetment, a wall along the shore in 2002, and the environmental impacts to that, it caused all this erosion up on that bluff. And now they want to go in and they want to build more and do more land disturbances. There's a lot of clays up here. It's a very sensitive area. They're sensitive to slippage on this bluff, and the more you disturb it, the more you're playing with fire. And it's really unbelievable that they're proposing to go in and do more digging and potentially impacting the homes, or the properties around the golf course, So there's a lot of many environmental issues.
And what do you believe that the push is with these developers in the town to build this? What's your opinion?
Well, the reason that these developers do this is to make money. That's what it comes down to. I mean, the principal in the company, I mean, they try to tag it and sell it, and they renamed it to Preserve at Indian Hills, which I just think is an insult, because they're claiming to preserve the golf course, but they're putting 16 acres of trees. They've already cut over 200 trees off the property. They've been doing that the last 2 years.
Is that even legal?
Well, some of them they've gotten permits from the town. Some of them, sometimes they didn't, and they got slapped on the wrist. But we've complained to the town about these trees, because it's almost like they're starting the development. They're clearing trees in areas where the development is going to go. And we've told the town, like, the SECRA, you can't segment, you can't do little pieces of it. You have to do it as a big thing. They don't have any approvals yet. So it's something that we're watching and we're trying to be on. But how do you claim you're preserving something when you're building and you're disturbing 50 or 60 acres?
Preserve seems like the oxymoron in the room, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
So
oh, sorry. She was waiting for me. Sorry about that. Yeah, preserving Elwood now,
Preserving the concrete orchard.
Yeah, that's it. Yes, welcome to we just went through that with Villadom, with preserving the orchards. It's like they give them these names to make people think that they're doing the opposite of what they're actually doing.
Right. Yeah, anytime you use the word preserved, yeah, sure, that sounds great.
Yeah, it's more like Wreck-It Ralph.
They're totally misleading people, totally misleading.
Right.
Oh yeah, they completely are. So this was the part that I think I was filming this with Andy with his, while you guys were up checking out the top road, which I'm going to show too, as well as we got permission to go on that lovely property. We got lucky, the property owners came home while we were still there. So we're going to go in their backyard in a little bit, but we're going to let Andy finish up some of his stuff too.
So Andy, you wanted to show me some of your maps.
Sure. So this.
Oh,
We lost sound.
Oh, let's hope it's not.
This is a page from one of the 3 development areas where these townhouses are proposed to go. Beforehand, we were at Joan and George's house, which is located over here, and you can see there's about 48 or so, approximately 50 townhomes that are proposed.
That's the road we drove up.
Yeah, this is the road, and it would go up here, and there'd be a new road, and all those woods that we saw in the backyard would be cleared, and this would be the view for that. This is these are the other 2 proposed development areas. This road right here is where we are. We're standing approximately here, and so they would propose to go through here, and we'll show on the other maps. This is a big hill. This is a bluff that I mentioned that they're proposing to build on top of. This is the 3rd area, and it's a few homes, and this is off of Fresh Pond Road, and the Fresh Pond is located over here, and they propose to put a number of homes there also. This line is a very significant line. It's called the Coastal Erosion Hazard Area line, and I'll show that on here. This is an aerial photo. We are standing about here, and this line is a line that the DEC has established in the 1970s, and anything toward the water on this side of the line is strictly regulated. You can't really basically take a shovel of dirt and move it in this area without a permit or a good reason to or a variance. So this is the line. This goes up on top of the bluff, and really it's to prevent erosion because these areas are very sensitive to erosion, and it's known that if you start digging and doing any construction in these areas, you could have severe detrimental impacts. And one of the things that happened in 2001, the golf course wanted to build this revetment or this stone wall to stop erosion here. So they built the wall, but what they did, which was the history of the golf course a number of times, is they went above and beyond their permit, and they went and they cleared all the trees off of the bluff. This up here shows one of the tree stumps. That's a size 12 boot. So these were huge trees taken off the base of the bluff. This is the bluff line. This is the bluff up here. So the development is proposed to come up here on this bluff, and the townhomes would be up here. But this work that they did here had a very severe detrimental impact. This is a picture. So this picture is on top of this bluff looking this way. This is the tree that you see. And for many, many years, there was a small, we'll call it a fault line up where this part was sinking. This tree was kind of leaning over. This was just before they built the revetment, 2002. 2004, just 2 years later, you can see the slumping of that, and the tree is leaning. And in 2005, this is an area, and now it's 2018, so God knows how much that's fallen. And the plan now is to build these townhomes right up along here, along the top of that bluff. These signs popped up along the golf course after that. Proceed with caution, sinkholes, because you start messing with this stuff that is very sensitive. There's a lot of clays here, and you don't really know the geology, and erosion happens, and you start getting sinkholes. Now, the revetment, the idea was to prevent erosion. So this is a photo prior to them building the revetment up here. This is in 2001, and you see I have these red lines just as reference lines. In 2004, this is after they built the revetment, and you can see the reference lines here so that you can see the wall there. And then if you look at the 2017 photo, these are the same red lines. They're in the exact same spot, and you could see the erosion around the sides of the walls, 45 feet and 44 feet. There's properties that are affected. The Booker T. Washington House, which is a historical house. It's Booker T. Washington Summer Home, is located here, and that property is being eroded, as is a neighborhood property owners association property right here. So what happens is the wave energy that would typically come here when you build this stone wall, it's dispersed to the sides, and you get erosion around the sides. So although the golf course was wanted to protect their properties, really it's impacting the neighboring properties, which really isn't right. And again, this shows where we're standing here, and they want to build up here and come right along up here and build these townhomes right in this area and in this area. And you can see these are the remnants of trees, the 200 or so trees that they've taken down in the last 2 years across the golf course. You can see the stumps there. This was something I got from Shore Friendly, which the yellows says things that you shouldn't do if you want to prevent a bluff from eroding. And one thing is you got to be careful with road runoff. The more road runoff you have, the worse it is for the bluff. Well, this plan will increase road runoff by 11 more acres. Another thing that can impact the bluff is septic drains. You don't want to put septic drains up on a bluff. This plan will add 37,010 gallons per day of septic waste discharges. Rain and irrigation, well, you can't really do much about rain, but irrigation, it's a golf course. They want to build a new hole up, new holes up on the coastal erosion hazard area, which I'll show you, which they're going to irrigate. They have to irrigate. So that's no good. And the other is remove trees. And the plan, besides the trees they've already removed, the plan calls for clearing of 16.58 acres of trees. So all these things that they're proposing in their plan on this slide from Shore Friendly says you shouldn't be doing on a coastline bluff.
Now, the Indians had a name for this ground because we are in Indian Hills. And what do they refer to this ground as?
Well, it was this particular bluff that we're talking about is very unique. There's a United States Geological Survey report from 1914 that actually shows pictures of this bluff, and they called it the Broken Grounds area. And it was noted there, and there's a number of pictures of it, and they said at the time it was the largest landslide on Long Island. It's noted for really the clay is very unique, and just the way it's all set up. It's something that we don't really have much around here, and that's why the DEC drew that line so far back to really protect it and preserve it. But it seems that this plan is really not caring too much about that. This is a copy of the proposed units up on the bluff. The yellow area, now this red line is that coastal erosion hazard area, which doesn't allow anything to be done really in this whole area here. What the current plan that they have with the town, the yellow area is area that they plan to clear. So they want to clear. The green is a new golf hole that they want to build all within the coastal erosion area. These blue areas here are new retaining ponds that they want to put in for the drainage. And you could see these are the units and how close it is to the coastal erosion line. Now, I was looking at this and I said, I wonder, this coastal line was drawn in the 70s, and you saw those pictures in 2005 when it had slipped. So what I did was I overlaid their plans of where these boxes are, where the condos, the townhomes are going to be. And you can see they're preparing the coastal line. Although the coastal line is here, it's slipped. It's already slipped from that work that they did when they built this revetment. So really, the plan as it is now is, do you want to build? Do you want to buy a townhome up here on this?
Uh-oh.
What happened?
Okay,
Was it
sorry
done?
about that. Well, we got cut off in the middle, I think, when we were filming. and it did the same thing here. That's
So
why.
but the issue with
did that
Wi-Fi in
without
that area, it
warning.
wasn't the best.
It was, yes, it was.
Wi-Fi wasn't the best in the area.
Well,
Thank
we
you.
were in the middle of nowhere, so.
Yeah.
So that sensitive bluff we've been talking about, this is from the developer's submittal of full environmental assessment form. And this is actually what it says. It says, describe how the proposed action would affect water bodies, excavation, placement structures on the shorelines. And their answer was reduction of shoreline bluff, which I'm not really sure what that means, but I think it means what it means was they want to really take away the bluff. So this is a topographical map overlaid on an aerial overlaid on top of it. So you can really see this bluff. It rises about 150, 160 feet above sea level, which sea level is right here. So it's quite a substantial grade change there. And what they want to do is they just want to take away this whole bluff and take away, I think it's 300,000 cubic yards of sand, which would be about 50 acres and 40 feet deep. So really what this is known in the DEC as a natural protective feature. And really one of the things it does is you have wind coming off of the sound here. You've had storms like Superstorm Sandy and Hurricane Irene and whatnot. And this area got whacked and gets whacked from the wind. And you could see how this bluff, because it rises so high, is going to protect all of the homes located back here from wind erosion and protection from wind. They take that bluff down, this is just going to act as a channel, and all these homes could be more impacted from wind and storm. So that's another concern. These concerns just keep piling up. The DEC did look at the plan and they came back with these comments, and I'll just read this. These activities are proposed in the face of the bluff and are not for purposes of erosion control nor shoreline access and are thereby prohibited by coastal erosion hazard area regulations. So the DEC regulations say what they're proposing is not allowed. However, the law does allow the town board to grant a variance if it meets these conditions. The town board did grant a variance for the construction of that rock wall that we saw, and I think I showed that that's already had impacts of more erosion around the side. So you have these unintended consequences. So the thing to be vigilant on is that the town board can grant a variance, and obviously, we don't believe that a variance is warranted here in this case. Another environmental impact is from the drainage. They have a number of ponds on the golf course, and what they do is they drain out, and they drain out into, look at this one, these ponds are connected, and they drain out, into fresh pond. And what the golf course did was, as a part of their other plan, they did some environmental samples, and they took a sample right where the pond is drained before it gets into fresh pond. And they found the total nitrogen that they found. They did a sample in May and in August was 1.73 milligrams per liter. In August, it was 6. The EPA has a water quality criteria recommendations. They recommend 0.32. So you could see the total nitrogen numbers are way above what EPA is recommending. Also, total phosphorus, which is even more important in fresh water for fresh pond. They found 1.75 milligrams per liter, and EPA criteria 0.008. So you could see before they've even built anything on this property, is already significant environmental impacts going on. And building 98 more townhomes, I can't see, and keeping the golf course, I can't see the environmental issues getting less. This is they're proposing to expand these ponds. These are the ponds here, and they're proposing to take all the drainage created by the roofs of the 98 townhomes that they're building and the additional roadways that they're building, and they're proposing to put them into these expanded ponds. These red areas show all the ponds that they're going to expand, and that's all proposed to drain into fresh ponds. So even more so, you can see that this is the current conditions, and these are the size of the ponds, how much bigger they are proposing to make them, to take all that runoff, because the problem here is the clay and there isn't good drainage. So they propose to put it all into this fresh pond, which is very, very, very concerning. Fresh pond drains into the sound. So it's all eventually going into the sound. And lastly, the golf course will have to get approval from the Huntington Town, and they'll also have to get approval from the Suffolk County Department of Health. The health department looks at something called development density, and it's based on the size of the property and how many units you can build, and the health department will have to approve that. But in determining, this is from a general guidance memorandum number 17 that the Department of Health put out in 2002, and it says, in determining allowable density, consider as developable only that land which will not be used for agriculture, golf courses, or other recreational turf. For condominiums or the like units intermingled with the golf course portion of the project must be separated out of the parcel area. Density would be based on the remainder of the parcel. In other words, the health department, if this was just all woods, they'd calculate the whole area and say, well, okay, how many units would we allow you to build? But because it's a golf course, they're required to subtract out any of the area that's used for golf course, because it's used developed land. It's used density because of the nitrogen input impacts that it's already having in the pesticides. So really, the way the health department looks at it as it's not a pristine, preserved open space land. They look at it as a developed parcel, which the golf course, they're getting a use out of that. They're making money on that. And that's not the reason why, but just environmentally, there's impacts from the golf course. And so that's something that, really we look at it as double dipping. The parcel isn't open space. It's used, developed land. It's developed as a golf course. It has impacts. It has uses. It has traffic. There's a clubhouse that people go to, and all of the chemicals used. So it's already an impacted land, and it can't be looked at as a pristine open space property that now you could just build what you would be allowed to if a golf course wasn't there. We call that double dipping. And really, I think that's the last of my slides.
Thank you so much, Andy.
Sure.
He is so smart.
Yes,
Yeah.
he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said we just have to get, because you basically just saw the entire thing that, you can't have both. You can't have development and the golf course unless you put it down under this other zoning, which I think is similar to the one they created for Oheka Castle with Gary Melius.
One thing that the people who are watching this video show should know, that when we left and we drove up the street, remember that was that empty lot where a home used to stand, and that home was leveled. Now that just the land is available because of structural issues with the home. It was completely leveled. You couldn't put a house on that land. So let's just build 98 condos.
You're absolutely right, Lisa.
It's absolutely, this is one of the most asinine things that I have heard. I feel like our entire island is like under attack from these monster developers.
And 300,000 cubic yards of sand being removed from the cliff, the bluff, named by the Indians as broken ground. I mean,
yeah, I wonder why it was broken ground.
Indians called it broken ground. It's on a phone.
I know. I wonder why. I wonder why.
So you guys were in the background while I was there with him, and you went up to this path. You were checking this out with Miss Kristen.
Hi. So we're on Mystic Lane, and we just wanted to show you that if the plan gets approved as it is right now, this will turn into a road that leads to a cul-de-sac of 42 houses, including 16 on the bluff. So Andy was showing that sensitive bluff right on the coastal erosion hazard area. That would be right down this road, and there would again be 42 houses and 16 on the bluff. So it would be quite a change from what we have now. This is private property, so we're not able to go on here, but you can see that they'd be opening this up, widening it, making it a road, and there would be, instead of these fallen trees and this forest area, it would be impervious surfaces, which are asphalt and rooftops, and it would add a lot of runoff and cause a lot of other environmental issues.
So then that's when the homeowners came home, and we got lucky enough for them to, whoops, that's not it, let us just get a peek at the backyard area. Yeah, here I have just a little peek of that. Sorry, this isn't as easy as you guys all think it is.
Water right on the edge.
So we're right at you probably can't hear her right now because she wasn't mic'd. We're right looking over the bluff, basically. And that's all Connecticut.
Erosion has happened over the years, and you can see that this is a very environmentally sensitive area. There's not a lot of disturbed.
In fact, I can hear the birds.
Which would be quite a change after the construction.
What I keep thinking about is that picture that Andy showed us of the tree and the ground. How in just a few years.
Right, so we're on Fresh Pond.
Oops, sorry. Go ahead, Lisa.
How in just a few years, how that land just literally just disintegrated.
Oh, yeah. And it was.
But let's build 98 condos. I just don't understand. You wonder why that land is so secluded. There's a reason for it. There's a reason for it. It needs to stay like that.
And, I think one of the reasons people don't realize its impact, we drive through the village all the time. So we see what's going on with the apartments. We're stuck in the traffic. This is so far away from where we are, but still the town of Huntington, that we were literally on a piece of ground that was both half Smithtown and half Huntington.
Fresh Pond.
And Fresh Pond is really interesting because half is town of Huntington and half is town of Smithtown.
I'm Smithtown. I'm Huntington.
So as there's more impervious surfaces and runoff from additional waste at Indian Hills Country Club, which is right down the road, that's going to feed into Fresh Pond. Fresh Pond is already polluted. It's going to add more pollution to this area, and it also feeds into the Long Island Sound. So it really affects all of us, our water quality, and it's just another thing to be concerned about.
If you look, we're on the road. Go ahead and turn around, Dana, and that's where the pipe feeds, right over here.
She's so bossy.
So this goes clearly from one side to the other and is the dividing line between Smithtown and Huntington. Good stuff.
I had a vision in my head of what I wanted this episode to be like, to cover everything. And I find it amazing that they, instead of building a little bridge over Fresh Pond, they paved right over it. And that's the dividing line between two towns. I would think that would be something to be celebrated and heralded and not something to be covered up. And another thing I found alarming, Booker T. Washington's house. I mean, let's just completely pretend history didn't happen. Let's take all things of history away at all.
They're trying.
They're trying.
There's definitely historical aspect there. So, so this was our trip at Indian Hills. And I hope that, we brought you some solid information tonight. Unfortunately, our hour has come to an end. So, ladies, if you have any final thoughts.
Save Indian Hills.
Protect Indian Hills. Protect it. Save it. Save the land. Save the environment. Save the water. Save Jurassic Park. Save my
little chipmunks. Well, thank you. But I hope everyone enjoyed tonight's Huntington View, and we'll see everyone next Tuesday. Have a good evening, everyone.
Bye, guys.